Hey guys, it's Jolene from Smith's Nature Friendly Farms. I'm coming to you from the garden today to talk to you about a killer plant. Alright, I'm going to talk to you about this fantastic plant that's in my garden that is actually a highly toxic plant, but it's still a beautiful plant, and it's actually amazing how many plants out there are actually toxic. But this one in particular, we're going to highlight and we'll show it to you. Alright, so this lovely plant right in here in the center is a foxglove. Popular, I think, in like English gardens. Not that I've been to England and I can say that for a fact, but as I read online and pictures I have seen of English gardens, I often see foxglove in them. It is a beautiful plant with bell-like flowers, which are popular with the hummingbirds and the bumblebees and many other pollinators as well. So it is a beautiful, beautiful plant. Now, this plant is completely and utterly toxic, so it should not ever be eaten. Not that I would randomly eat any plant. In fact, I don't think anybody should be eating plants unless it's very well known that they are edibles. But this particular plant, every part of it is toxic. It is a biannual flower, which in itself means that it will have to reseed to come back, and it seeds quite easily, so you can replant it over and over again, and it was super easy to grow from seed. Now, you want to be careful that you don't plant this somewhere in a yard that maybe has access to small children, or is anywhere near a lettuce patch or spinach patch. You also want to keep it away from puppies because of the fact that they are toxic, and even when they go to seed, the seeds in itself are toxic. This plant is known for medicinal benefits despite the fact that it is toxic. One of my best friends was telling me, when I highlighted a picture of it, she was telling me that this plant was actually responsible to helping save her son's life. He had, when he was born, he had some heart issues, and there is some medication that is made from this plant, which is absolutely amazing to think about. Which reminds me of why keeping plant life abundant is so important, because it leads to so many cures of different health issues. So this is a neat plant for that reason. People often call it witch's bells because of its toxicity. So it has an interesting name, but most people will refer to it as foxglove. Foxgloves are hardy for zones 4 to 10, and I think I've grown them. Well, I didn't specifically. I think I've seen them grown back home in Calgary, Canada, in zone 3. So whether that was treated as an annual versus a biannual, I'm not too sure. But definitely most information will state that they grow in zones 4 to 10. Now, growing it in Mississippi, in order to get it established, I've had to baby it quite a bit. It didn't like the heat, so I planted it in the early spring and kept it really well watered, and it loves a lot of water. It's much happier in a moist soil, so the heat, I think, gets to it a bit. So if you're in a higher zone, you'll just want to make sure you either put it in a part shade, part sun, part shade kind of spot, or keep it super well watered in times of heat. And then when you plant it is important. That'll be the important part of establishing it. It won't survive well if you try to establish it in the middle of the heat of the summer. Now, it's not a native plant, so a couple things to consider with it not being a native plant is that it won't provide the nourishment that bees and hummingbirds, I shouldn't say they won't, I can't say for sure that it will provide the right nutrients that a native bee or hummingbird would require. My belief with non-native plants is in moderation and in control. So I'm not against having some beautiful non-native plants in the garden. They certainly add to the beauty of the garden, right? But native plants should be in abundance and should be in volume versus non-native plants in order to do the best for nature. So I don't have this in large volume. I think I have 2 or 3 plants in the garden, and for the most part they are all in controlled. Like this is in a box, it can't take off, there's gravel all around it, and I will manage it appropriately so it doesn't overtake native plants. But always where possible, I try to have as many native plants, not always a ton of non-natives, because this one is actually native to Europe, Asia, and Africa. And if you're looking for a flower that is deer and rabbit resistant, nature seems to know quite well that this is not an edible plant. It will give you a tummy ache. So it is one that's not usually consumed by rabbits and deer. So good one if you're looking for something to fill in a spot that normally the rabbits eat. And funny thing was, before I started filming this, I was standing here getting set up and a rabbit went running into the bushes. So definitely was safe. All right, guys, that's the amazing foxglove plant, the highly toxic witch's bells, as some may call it. And it's a beauty in the back of a landscape garden or anything where you've got beautiful flower beds. It actually probably would look quite nice in a cut flower arrangement as well. But remember, it's toxic, so always ensure you inform everybody that it is toxic and ensure that it's not in a place in your garden where somebody might think about eating it. Certainly not a good one to eat. So that's it. That's all on the foxglove flower. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. I love hearing from you guys and I really appreciate it. Awesome. Well, that's it, you guys. Be friendly, be kind.